Thank you, Luke, for chatting with us here at the Christian Beat, all about some of Four King Country's upcoming and recent releases and everything. All this exciting stuff.
But thank you for taking the time. You don't need to thank me.
I do want to start with the music video that was just released for What Are We Waiting For?
Yeah.
That piece was just really, really cool to look at, to watch. I can't imagine what it was like to actually create it. So can you just give us a little bit of the insight of your perspective on how that all came together and actually pulling that together?
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're gonna do a music video, let's make it crazy. Let's make it audacious. So, and that was this. What Are We Waiting For? Kind of had a little bit of this desert theme, and we just had this idea we were gonna be out kind of west, and we thought, what if we would go back to the Mojave Desert, this kind of post-apocalyptic journey. We're trying to find kind of an oasis type story, and what does that look like? So yes, it included us kind of rising up from the sand, kind of being sand people that come out of the sand, which is very unique, having sand being poured on you, and it's quite disgusting, but it is what it is. It became something that we're really proud of, and obviously it's fun to look at, it's fun to watch, and I think these days, if you want people to listen to what you have to say, the art needs to be captivating, and that's our hope, is that we can make art that sticks in people's minds, and maybe ask them some of the questions that hopefully the art is begging to be asked.
Absolutely. I'm curious with you saying that. What are some of the questions that you kind of hope that this particular music video and the deluxe version of this album coming out kind of spark?
Yeah, well, I mean, the song "What Are We Waiting For?" Ironically enough, has kind of been hanging around for about 2 years. We named the album that, but the song wasn't quite to our liking when it came to releasing the album, so we kind of kept it back intentionally, because we thought it was one of the coolest songs of the project, but we wanted to make it really meaningful. We wanted to make it really powerful, and I think we wrote it during the pandemic, and during the pandemic, I think everybody realized how fragile life was. And while life is fragile, we also realized that we all have these hopes and dreams that sometimes it appears that we just kind of stored up, that we weren't living those hopes and dreams. We're just kind of living life. And sometimes it takes struggle. Sometimes it takes difficult things for us to realize what we need to be doing with our life, or what we want to be striving towards. And I hope that people ask themselves the question of, like, man, am I actually living what God has called me to do in life? Am I actually living out maybe the hopes and dreams, or the talents that He's given me, or am I just mailing it in? And I think if you're just mailing it in, man, go on a wild adventure. Go on an adventure that is powerful and beautiful.
Absolutely, that's a great message for sure, and definitely something that is very relevant in that when it was being written and everything from there too. I'm curious how that kind of has evolved for you, that track, since you've mentioned it's been around for a couple years and you've obviously been working it and tweaking it. Just how that kind of has evolved for you, and the meaning, or what you get out of that piece.
Well, I think that I'm always kind of asking myself those same questions. Of what are we waiting for? Like, am I being the husband and father that I hoped I would be? Am I being the man that I feel like God is calling me and asking me to be? And if I'm not, then I have to actually do something about it. What I realize about life, and especially with all the distractions that we have in life, like if you want something different, if you're convicted about something in life, it doesn't just happen. You don't have this monumental breakthrough thought, and then obviously then that thought becomes a reality. You actually have to put pen to paper. You actually have to put a foot in front of another to go and do some of these things. And if you want change in your life, you actually got to do it. It just doesn't take place. And I think for me, man, I'm always asking myself that question, and I hope that I'm able to answer it and actually do something about it.
For sure, absolutely. And there was another. I know there's another new original on the deluxe version that's coming out September 15th called "Better Man," I believe. Do you want to just talk a little bit about that track as well, and kind of why it wasn't on the original album, but why you felt it was a good tie-in for this deluxe version?
Yeah. So sometimes what happens with music is you go and write a bunch of songs, and then you kind of have to put these deadlines in place, or else you just never finish projects. But sometimes what happens with those deadlines is you actually can't. You start to focus on a few songs, and if there's another song that's similar, you may put it on the back burner. And one of the things with the record is when we put the original out, we didn't need any kind of slower tempoed songs. And so Better Man, which I love the thought, which is really just saying, we want to be better men for you. We want to be better people. I love the thought, but we had songs that were similar in tempo, and so it kind of got put on the back burner a little bit. But I find it to be one of the more honest songs on the record. I mean, I think people think that because we go up and we're up on stages or we're doing interviews like this, that our hope is our measurement is to be like Jesus. Our hope is that we want to be good people. But the truth is we're people, we're human, and we're not perfect. Our relationships aren't all perfect. And I think this song is us describing some of the things that we want to be, how we want to be better. I think men are inherently very prideful people. And in relationship, pride is something that kills vibrant relationships. And I think for both Joel and I, that's one of those things that song is talking about is, man, how can we people that live with humility and live with great grace to the ones that are the closest to us, and those are our spouses.
Absolutely. And I know that with this being a deluxe edition, it's obviously closely tied to the original collection. I'm just curious if you think back and kind of what all this has done for you personally and the group and the reach. If it was one of those things that you kind of had all of those visions when you first released the project and saw it kind of this whole way out, or how this kind of grew and expanded, as it gained traction and as it was put out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I've come to the conclusion now, doing this for a little bit, that when you release a project, it's kind of the beginning. I think people think that a project is like it's all encompassing. It's the exact way that you intend it to be. I think I look at the first part of an album as the start, as the beginning. And so the deluxe, there's other songs that have come along, there's other remixes that come along. Those are us in some cases continuing to think through and experience what the whole process is.
I don't know that I've ever heard it put in quite those words, but there's a lot of that makes sense of what you just said, with it being more the beginning than anything else.
Yeah, because I mean, you get a record is usually gonna be around for 2 or 3 years, and to think that 2 years in, you didn't have another thought, or you didn't have another song change, or you didn't have a remix idea, or whatever it might be, is crazy. In some cases, you only get to know the songs as it releases, and so that's why I've always said, like, man, I think that when you release a record, that's just the beginning. You never know where it's going to go. You never know what twists and turns. And the other thing is, let's say this, deluxes in the past used to be you just put a bunch of B-sides on them. No, I think that deluxes should actually mean that you're still putting on the best songs. Those songs might come after you finish the beginning of the record, if that makes sense. That's our hope, is that we're not just putting on B-sides, you're putting on songs that you had intention for.
Absolutely. No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, it does. And I know we're getting close to time, so I'll close with one final question, but just leave it open-ended and ask, what's next? What are you really looking forward to over these next couple of months as this releases?
The next, this fall is really built around, we've been working on this film called Unsung Hero, and we're not doing a ton of events right now. We've got the deluxe coming out, we've got this film that we've got to wrap up, and so it comes out April 26th of next year. It's called Unsung Hero. It's about our parents' journey from Australia to America. When we came to America, my dad had lost a lot of money on a deal in Australia, and we came with nothing. We're sleeping on beds made out of clothes, and it was a story that I told from stage, and have told stage for literally like 11 years. And I had all these people come up to me and was like, hey, you should write a book about this story. And I think that for both Joel and I, were like, you know what, we homeschool. We homeschool. We don't write well or read well. What if we make a movie instead? So here, we've had the privilege of being able to make this film called Unsung Hero.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for that to be out next year for sure. That's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you again, Luke, for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Really excited for these projects to come out, and wish you and your brother and group all the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely.